Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Christina Fisanick, and I'm an English professor at Pennsylvania Western University. You might know us as Penn West. I teach mostly on the California campus, but I also teach online and in all the different ways that we teach now, our other two campuses at Edinburgh and Clarion. And even though mostly I teach writing, all kinds of writing, I also teach something called digital storytelling, which is kind of like taking writing to the next level. And I'll be talking to you about that today. But I wanted to give you a little bit of background on me and a little bit of background about digital storytelling, and then show you a digital story before we really get into it so that you can see an example of what I'm talking about before we actually talk about the finer points of what a digital story is and how is it different than other kinds of storytelling that you might do with multimedia. So my background in 2010. I earned a graduate certificate in digital storytelling from the University of Colorado at Denver. And one of the few people in the country that actually has that certificate. You can no longer get it there, but there are other programs that offer it now. And basically, what that certificate does, it doesn't just allow me to teach other people how to create digital stories, but it also allows me to teach other teachers how to create digital stories, but also teach other teachers' teachers how to create digital stories. So it's a really cool thing. For the past 12 years, I've collaborated with the Heinz History Center in Pittsburgh. And what me and my students at Penn West have done is go around mostly Western Pennsylvania, Northern West Virginia, and parts of Ohio to their historical societies and create digital stories. My students also create personal digital stories, but mostly the public-facing ones are created using archival materials from digital stories. I'm sorry, from archives at historical societies. And so part of the process and part of that partnership led up to us writing a book for Routledge Press called Public History as Digital Storytelling, and it's a guide for educators. But public history covers museums, it covers classrooms, it covers all kinds of things. But today I'm going to talk to you about other uses for digital storytelling than just public history uses. So, to give you a background on what digital storytelling is, basically a digital story is a 2 to 4 minute, and that's a general rule over time as um, our attention spans have declined a little in our media and the other uses of technology. It's not all about that attention span. We've said that it's about 2 to 4 minutes, the length of it, the average digital story, but sometimes they're a little bit longer. I've seen them at 5 minutes. In fact, one of the digital stories I recommend that you watch is a 5 minute one. And so to give you an idea of where all this came from, this process. It started probably, you could say the roots of digital storytelling are in the 1960s, actually, in Berkeley, California, with the Art for Art's Sake movement. And the whole point of that movement was that people believed that everybody can make art just to make art and to have a means and opportunity to say what's important to them and to have their voice heard. And so digital storytelling in the early 1990s rose out of that. Why the 1990s? Well, suddenly things like personal computers, scanners for photo scanning, music in terms of like making music portable on recordings and things like that became possible in a way that it never had been before. And so, two guys in California, one person was into technology and innovation, and the other was in theater, created something called digital storytelling. Their names were Dana Ashley, who is no longer with us, and Joe Lambert, who is very much with us, and I just saw him not too long ago. And so, to give you an idea of how that sort of over time became a thing, they realized that if they could give people a platform to create their stories, it became democratizing. So people who might never have their story heard by traditional media, on a stage somewhere, certainly not on a big screen, were able to do that through digital stories that they could DIY because this is very much a do-it-yourself type of thing. You don't need a producer, you don't need fancy graphics. You don't, none of that. You as an individual can sit down, write a script, integrate photos and videos and some music and create a story that is engaging And that might be something that no one else would ever hear any other way. And so, in the next video, I'll talk to you more about what the main elements of digital storytelling are and how you can harness them and think about them in terms of what you're doing for the projects that you're working on for this class. So, I want to have your professor show you a digital story as an example, and then we'll come back and talk about what are the main points of digital storytelling and what are we doing? Why are we doing this?